Most people assume that blurry vision is just part of getting older, something you accept, adjust to, and move on from. You wake up and your eyes feel dry, scratchy, slow to focus. You squint at a menu across the restaurant. Headlights at night leave you blinded and uncomfortable, gripping the steering wheel tighter than you used to. But I want to challenge that assumption today. Because in my years of clinical practice working with older adults, I've seen too many people accept vision decline as inevitable when the evidence suggests it doesn't have to be. My name is Dr. Andrew Weil, and today I'm going to walk you through 7 fruits that research suggests can meaningfully support overnight eye repair, ranked from helpful all the way up to genuinely remarkable. I'll tell you exactly which ones to eat, when to eat them, and critically, how to eat them so your body can actually absorb what your eyes need. Before we get into it, I want to be clear about something. Everything I share here is educational. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you are experiencing vision changes or any concerns about your eye health, please see a licensed eye care professional. Your eyes are too important to leave to chance. Now let's get into it. What's actually happening to your eyes at night? Here's something most people don't know. The real damage to aging eyes often happens while you sleep. At night, when you assume your body is resting and repairing itself, your retina, the light-sensitive tissue lining the back of your eye, doesn't always get the oxygen and nutrients it needs. The delicate photoreceptor cells that allow you to see clearly begin to break down slowly, silently. Most people don't notice it until the damage is already significant. A study published in JAMA Ophthalmology in 2023 confirmed what researchers had been observing for years. Age-related retinal damage often begins with silent oxidative stress and chronic low-grade inflammation. And these processes are most active at night, precisely when your eyes should be doing their deepest repair work. The National Eye Institute has warned that vision loss among Americans is rising faster than at any point in recorded history. And yet the most common solutions, eye drops, stronger prescriptions, laser surgery, address the symptoms. They don't go after the root cause. What recent research has uncovered is genuinely exciting. Certain everyday fruits contain natural compounds that your eyes are literally craving during sleep. Nutrients that support the regeneration of damaged photoreceptor cells, improve circulation to the retina, and may even slow the progression of macular degeneration, which remains the leading cause of central vision loss in adults over 60. Let's count down. Number 7. Watermelon. Most people think of watermelon as a summer snack. What they don't realize is that for aging eyes, it's quietly impressive. As we get older, blood flow to the retina gradually slows. That reduced circulation is a major contributor to morning blurriness that sometimes takes an hour or more to clear. If you've ever woken up and wondered why your vision takes so long to come into focus, this is often why. Watermelon is over 90% water, so hydration is an obvious benefit. But the research points to something deeper. Watermelon is one of the richest dietary sources of lycopene, a powerful carotenoid antioxidant linked in observational studies to reduced oxidative damage in retinal cells and protective effects against both cataracts and macular degeneration. Studies also show that people who eat watermelon regularly tend to have higher circulating levels of lutein and zeaxanthin. Those critical vision nutrients we'll keep coming back to throughout this list. And certain compounds in watermelon support nitric oxide production, which improves peripheral blood flow and could translate to better oxygen delivery to the retina during sleep. A patient story. One of my patients, a 6-7-year-old retired school teacher named Margaret, came to me complaining that her mornings felt like looking through frosted glass. She had already tried 2 different brands of prescription eye drops with minimal relief. Her ophthalmologist had told her it was simply dry eye syndrome related to age. She was frustrated and honestly a little defeated. We made a few simple dietary changes. One of the first things I suggested was adding watermelon to her evening routine. Nothing dramatic, just 1 to 2 cups before bed a few nights a week, alongside some of the other adjustments we'll talk about today. 6 weeks later, she came back and said, And I remember this clearly. I woke up on Tuesday, and I could actually see the clock from across the room. I haven't been able to do that in 2 years. Now, that's not a controlled clinical trial, but it's the kind of outcome that keeps me paying attention to what the research is pointing toward. How to use it. 1 to 2 cups of chilled seedless watermelon about 30 minutes before bed. Skip the salt. Added sodium can raise intraocular pressure, which the Glaucoma Research Foundation identifies as a significant risk factor for vision loss. Pro tip: don't throw away the rind. That white section near the skin contains citrulline, an amino acid that supports healthy blood vessel function and may contribute to nighttime eye nourishment. Blend it into a smoothie or lightly pickle it. Number 6. Dragon fruit. This one surprises people. Exotic, visually striking, but the research behind it is worth paying attention to, especially if you regularly wake up with tired, heavy eyes even after a full night of sleep. The variety matters enormously here. You want the deep red flesh. The white varieties don't contain what we're after. The specific problem red dragon fruit addresses is retinal hypoxia. That's when your retinal tissue isn't receiving adequate oxygen during sleep. When that happens, you can sleep a full 8 hours and still wake up with fatigued eyes. Your peripheral vision starts to blur. Colors look flatter than they used to. Left unaddressed over time, the cumulative damage can be significant. Red dragon fruit is rich in beta-cyanins, a class of antioxidants that support nitric oxide production in blood vessels. Nitric oxide relaxes and widens capillaries, including the tiny ones that supply your retina. Wider capillaries mean more oxygen and more nutrients reaching retinal tissue during deep sleep, exactly when your eyes need it most. A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Aging Biology reported that participants who consumed red dragon fruit extract for 6 weeks showed meaningful improvements in ocular circulation, contrast sensitivity, and visual field depth. In practical terms, they reported seeing more clearly in low light and experiencing noticeably less blurry vision. A patient story. I think about a man named Robert, 72 years old, a former architect who had spent decades doing precision detail work. He told me that colors had been fading for him gradually over several years. Sunsets didn't look the way he remembered them. He'd stopped painting watercolors, something he'd loved for 30 years, because he said he couldn't trust what he was seeing anymore. His scans didn't show macular degeneration. His pressures were normal. His doctor had essentially told him this was just aging. But when I looked at his lifestyle, I noticed he was sleeping poorly and eating very little in the way of antioxidant-rich foods in the evenings. We added red dragon fruit to his routine, among other things, and within about 2 months he told me the colors were coming back. He picked up his watercolors again. I'm not telling you dragon fruit cured anything, but I am telling you that nutrients matter, timing matters, and small changes can produce real results. How to use it. Half a red flesh dragon fruit about an hour before bed. Pro tip: don't swallow the black seeds whole. Chew them. Those seeds contain omega-3 fatty acids and magnesium, both of which play documented roles in retinal nerve health and repair. Swallowed whole, you lose almost all of that benefit. Number 5. Blueberries. You probably already eat blueberries. But here's what surprises most people. The way the majority of us consume them actually cancels out a significant portion of their eye protective benefits. What blueberries target specifically is oxidative damage in your photoreceptors. Those are the specialized cells in your retina that allow you to focus, distinguish fine detail, and adapt to changes in light. Years of UV exposure accumulate. Your natural antioxidant defenses gradually thin, and slowly, you start squinting at text, struggling in dim light, or asking yourself why your vision feels blurry even with your glasses on. The key compound in blueberries is pterostilbene, which is chemically related to resveratrol but significantly more bioavailable. Research suggests it can cross the blood-retinal barrier and act directly on DNA damage in light-sensitive cells. That's a meaningful distinction from most dietary antioxidants that never reach the tissue that actually needs them. A 2023 study published in Nutritional Neuroscience found that older adults who consumed wild blueberries daily for 12 weeks showed notable improvements in visual acuity and reported meaningfully less eye strain when viewing digital screens in low light. Here's the critical detail most people miss. The large, shiny, cultivated blueberries commonly sold in supermarkets have measurably lower antioxidant density. Wild blueberries, the small, dark ones typically found in the frozen section, carry nearly double the concentration of active compounds. And frozen is just as effective as fresh. A patient story. A woman named Carol, 64, came to me specifically because she was having trouble with her phone screen. She worked part-time doing bookkeeping and spent several hours a day looking at spreadsheets. She had started getting headaches by mid-afternoon, and her eyes felt gritty and sore by evening. Her optometrist had given her blue light blocking glasses, which helped a little but not enough. When I asked her about her diet, she told me she ate blueberries almost every morning in her yogurt with granola. I had to explain to her, gently, that the yogurt was likely canceling out a significant portion of the benefit, and that the cultivated blueberries she was buying had a fraction of the antioxidant content of wild varieties. We switched her to wild frozen blueberries, moved them to the evening, and removed the dairy pairing. Within 3 weeks, she reported that her afternoon headaches had almost completely stopped. Her eyes felt less strained. She was genuinely surprised that such a small change made a noticeable difference. How to use them. About a third of a cup of wild blueberries 45 minutes before bed. Don't combine them with dairy. Lightly freeze and then thaw your blueberries before eating to break down cell walls and increase bioavailability. Number 4. Kiwi. Small, a little fuzzy, easy to walk past at the grocery store. But for aging eyes, kiwi is genuinely impressive, and the research backs that up. Kiwi is loaded with 2 nutrients that eye researchers keep returning to, lutein and zeaxanthin. Think of them as natural internal filters. They sit inside the layers of your retina, absorbing harmful blue light and providing antioxidant protection while your eyes go through their nighttime repair process. On top of that, kiwi contains a unique combination of antioxidants and a small amount of serotonin, which supports deeper, more restorative sleep. And deep sleep is when your eyes do their most important repair work. The two benefits go together more than most people realize. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging found that older adults who consumed 2 golden kiwis daily experienced measurable improvements in visual sharpness, along with reduced morning dryness and eye redness. 2 pieces of fruit, measurable results. A patient story. I had a patient named Thomas, a 70-year-old retired firefighter who had lived with dry eyes for years. He used drops 4 or 5 times a day. He kept a bottle on his nightstand, one in his car, one in every jacket pocket. He told me he felt like his eyes were never fully comfortable. He'd accepted it as the price of aging. What struck me about Thomas was that he slept badly too. He'd wake up 2 or 3 times a night and never felt properly rested. When I learned that, I suggested kiwi specifically, partly for the eye benefits and partly because of the serotonin content that supports sleep quality. He was skeptical. He called it a weird little fruit, but he tried it. After about 3 weeks, he came back and said 2 things had improved. He was sleeping more deeply and waking up fewer times, and his morning eye dryness, which had always been worst right after waking, had noticeably decreased. He still uses drops, but far less often. Sometimes the simplest interventions are the ones that actually move the needle. How to use it. Eat 2 golden kiwis, not green ones, about an hour before bed. Golden kiwis carry more lutein, produce less acid, and sit easier on the stomach late at night. Pro tip: don't peel all the way to the edge. That thin layer of flesh, right beneath the skin, contains concentrated caffeic acid, a potent antioxidant. Scoop the fruit out with a spoon and leave that inner edge intact. Number 3. Black currants. tiny, deep purple, and almost entirely overlooked in most American kitchens. But when it comes to protecting your eyes in low-light conditions, black currants are quietly remarkable. The specific problem they address is retinal microinflammation and reduced blood flow to the optic nerve. Over time, that chronic low-grade inflammation blurs your vision, creates halos around headlights at night, and causes progressive eye strain in dim conditions. A stronger glasses prescription simply cannot fix these problems. What makes black currants so effective is their extraordinary anthocyanin content. In the eye, anthocyanins do several things simultaneously. They calm inflammation, they support blood vessel dilation, and they help restore rhodopsin, the visual pigment responsible for your eye's ability to adjust from bright light to darkness. The clinical research here is quite solid. A randomized, placebo-controlled trial involving glaucoma patients found that 50 milligrams of black currant anthocyanins daily over 24 months significantly improved blood flow to the optic nerve and retinal areas and meaningfully slowed the progression of visual field loss compared to placebo. There's also growing evidence that black currant anthocyanins improve dark adaptation, the speed at which your eyes shift from bright to dim environments. A patient story. A patient of mine named Helen, 68, had stopped driving at night entirely. She told me it had happened gradually. First, she avoided highways. Then she stopped driving after sunset altogether. She was embarrassed about it and hadn't told her family. She'd just quietly rearranged her life around it. When she described her symptoms, the halos around streetlights, the difficulty adjusting when a car's headlights passed, the few seconds of near blindness after bright light, I recognized immediately that this was a dark adaptation issue. Her eyes were slow to recover and slow to adjust. I introduced her to black currant extract in the evening alongside some dietary adjustments. After about 6 weeks, she called my office, which she almost never did between appointments, to tell me she had driven to her daughter's house after dinner. It was dark. She said she felt safe for the first time in years. That phone call stayed with me. How to use them. Look for a standardized blackcurrant anthocyanin extract, around 50 milligrams daily, taken in the evening. For better absorption, pair it with a small amount of healthy fat, like a few walnuts, and a vitamin C source, like a slice of orange. Number 2. Goji berries. Bright red, slightly sweet. Used in traditional Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years, specifically for eye health. And now the clinical evidence is beginning to align with that long history. The exact problem goji berries target is macular thinning. The macula is the central zone of your retina. It's responsible for the sharp, detailed vision you use to read, recognize faces, and see color with clarity. As we age, oxidative stress and reduced circulation gradually degrade this tissue. That is the foundational process behind age-related macular degeneration, one of the leading causes of irreversible vision loss in older adults worldwide. What makes goji berries exceptional is their zeaxanthin content. Goji berries are among the highest natural dietary sources of zeaxanthin on the planet. While lutein predominantly protects the outer retina, zeaxanthin concentrates specifically in the macula, your center of vision. That targeted protection matters significantly. A 2021 study published in Nutrients followed adults aged 60 to 80 who consumed dried goji berries 5 days a week for 90 days. The results showed a significant increase in macular pigment optical density, a direct measure of macular protection, and no participant showed further progression of macular degeneration during the trial period. A patient story. The patient who comes to mind when I think about goji berries is a man named Frank, 75, who had been told by his retinal specialist that he had early dry macular degeneration in his right eye. His central vision was beginning to distort. Straight lines looked slightly wavy. He was terrified. He was an avid reader, had been his whole life, and the thought of losing that ability was devastating to him. His specialist had recommended the AREDS 2 supplement formula, which is entirely appropriate and something I supported, but Frank wanted to know what else he could do. What else was in his control? I talked to him about goji berries. I explained the zeaxanthin research. He was methodical about it. He soaked them every evening, tracked how he felt, noted when lines on his reading ruler looked cleaner. After 3 months, at his follow-up imaging appointment, his specialist noted that his macular pigment density had improved. The specialist asked what he'd changed. Frank pulled out a little notebook where he'd been tracking everything. I think about Frank often, not because goji berries reversed his condition, but because he reminded me that patients who take an active role in their own health tend to do better. Every time. How to use them. Soak 2 tablespoons of dried goji berries in warm water for about 10 minutes. Then eat them roughly 30 minutes before bed. Pro tip: pair your goji berries with a small square of high-quality dark chocolate, at least 85% cacao. The flavonoids in cocoa enhance the absorption of zeaxanthin. Together, they create a nutritional synergy your macula can actually use. Number 1. Papaya. Not exotic, not expensive. You may have one sitting on your counter right now. But when eaten correctly, papaya targets one of the most destructive and most overlooked processes behind blurry vision, cloudy lenses, and early cataract formation. The specific enemy papaya goes after is glycation. Glycation is the process by which excess blood glucose binds to proteins in your eye tissue, forming advanced glycation end product compounds that progressively cloud your lens and degrade your retina. It is one of the most underappreciated contributors to age-related vision deterioration, and it's happening silently and continuously in most people over 60. Papaya is rich in papain, a naturally occurring enzyme with documented anti-inflammatory and protein-modifying properties. It also delivers a powerful combination of vitamins A, C, and E, alongside folate, nutrients that research consistently links to tear film stability, retinal protection, and reduced oxidative stress inside the eye. A 2023 study published in Clinical Gerontology found that older adults who consumed papaya in the evening showed lower levels of glycation markers in follow-up testing, alongside stronger tear production and measurable improvements in contrast vision within 6 weeks. A patient story. The patient I think about most when I talk about papaya is a woman named Dorothy, 71, who had been told she had early-stage cataracts in both eyes. Her surgeon had said surgery wasn't necessary yet, but that it was likely coming within a few years. Dorothy was not someone who accepted things passively. She came to me specifically asking what she could do to slow the process. When I explained glycation, something clicked for her. She had been a nurse for 30 years and understood the biology immediately. She said, "So, my eyes are caramelizing," which is actually not a bad way to put it. We talked about dietary changes, reducing refined carbohydrates, improving her evening nutrition. Papaya became a cornerstone of her routine. She ate it every evening, room temperature, with lime juice, for months. At her 1-year follow-up with her ophthalmologist, the cataract progression had been slower than expected. Her doctor noted it but didn't ask what she'd changed. Dorothy told me later that she wished he had asked, because she would have told him everything. She still eats her papaya every night. She calls it her eye medicine. She's not wrong. How to use it. 1 cup of ripe papaya cubes about an hour before bed. Fresh is better than processed. Room temperature is better than cold. Take your papaya out of the refrigerator at least 30 to 60 minutes before eating. Don't pair it with dairy. Pro tip: squeeze fresh lime juice over your papaya before eating. The vitamin C in lime meaningfully boosts your body's absorption of vitamin A. Your eyes get more of what they need, and it tastes considerably better too. 5 rules that make everything work. You could eat every single fruit on this list and still not get the full benefit if you ignore these 5 rules. Rule 1. Don't combine with high-calcium foods. If you eat your papaya or blueberries shortly after milk, yogurt, or calcium-fortified cereal, you are actively blocking your body's absorption of lutein and zeaxanthin. Research has shown that high-calcium meals consumed alongside antioxidant-rich fruits can reduce absorption of key eye nutrients by up to 30%. Give yourself at least 90 minutes between dairy and your evening fruit. Rule 2. Always add a small amount of healthy fat. Most of the key nutrients in these fruits are fat-soluble. Your body cannot fully absorb them without fat present. A few walnuts, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, or a few slices of avocado alongside your fruit can boost absorption by more than 50%, according to published research. Same food, dramatically better delivery to your eyes. Rule 3. Wash gently. Aggressive scrubbing under hard running water removes a significant portion of surface antioxidants, particularly on blueberries and black currants, where the protective compounds are concentrated near the skin. Rinse gently under cool water. Pat dry. Wash right before eating, not hours in advance. Rule 4. Room temperature over cold. Refrigeration suppresses enzyme activity in several of these fruits, most notably papain in papaya. Take your fruit out 30 to 60 minutes before eating so your body can extract maximum benefit. Rule 5. Timing is everything. Eat your fruit 60 to 90 minutes before going to bed. Too early, and the nutrients are metabolized and cleared before your eyes enter their primary repair window. Too late, and active digestion disrupts the deep sleep your eyes need to actually do the work. Hit that window and you are giving these compounds the best possible chance to deliver what the research suggests they can. Closing thoughts. I've shared a lot today. 7 fruits, 5 rules, several patients whose stories I carry with me. But I want to leave you with something simple. The patients who do best are not always the ones with the mildest conditions. They are the ones who decide to participate, who ask questions, who make small, consistent changes and pay attention to what happens. Margaret and her morning clarity. Robert and his watercolors. Helen driving to her daughter's house in the dark. Frank with his little notebook. Dorothy and her eye medicine. None of them were cured by fruit, but all of them got better. And all of them did it by paying attention to what their bodies needed and giving it to them consistently at the right time, in the right way. Blurry vision is not simply an inevitable consequence of aging. It is often the result of specific, identifiable processes. Oxidative damage, inflammation, poor circulation, glycation, and growing evidence suggests that certain fruits, eaten at the right time and in the right way, can meaningfully support your eye's natural overnight repair processes. Think about reading without squinting, driving at night without that anxious grip on the steering wheel, waking up in the morning and actually seeing clearly within minutes, looking at the people you love and seeing every detail. That's what this is really about. Not just clearer vision, your independence, your confidence, your quality of life. This is Dr. Andrew Weil. Take care of your eyes. They are irreplaceable. This content is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult a licensed eye care professional before making changes to your diet, supplements, or health routine.